Hello everyone. Today we will discuss on the topic clinical trials in pharmacovigilance. So as per the WHO, the definition of pharmacovigilance is it is the science and activities related to the detection, assessment, understanding and prevention of adverse effect or any other drug related problem. And what is clinical trial? Clinical trial is a research study conducted with human participants to evaluate the safety, efficacy and optimal doses of new drugs, medical devices or treatment protocols. In the context of clinical trial, pharmacovigilance focus on identifying, evaluating and mitigating the risk associated with the investigational medicinal product during the development process. It plays a critical role in ensuring the safety of trial participants and in early detection of potential safety issues before a drug is approved for general use. The primary goal of the pharmacovigilance in clinical trial is to ensure that the safety concerns related to the investigational medicinal product are identified and appropriately managed, reducing the risk of harm to the participants. Pharmacovigilance also supports regulatory requirements, helps inform decision making during the development process, and ultimately contribute to the safe and effective use of medications once they are approved and marketed. The role of pharmacovigilance in the clinical trials. Pharmacovigilance is integral throughout all phases of clinical trial, from the pre-clinical studies to the post-marketing surveillance. First is the preclinical phase. In this phase, pharmacology, toxicology and initial safety of a data are assessed. In this phase does not involve human participants. In this phase, the study is conducted on the animal. The data obtained from the animal model and laboratory studies provided essential information on potential risk, including dose limiting toxicities and target organ toxicity. Then next is a clinical phase. In this in phase 1 trials, the drug is administered to the healthy volunteers or sometimes the patient with the disease under investigation. Pharmacovigilance activities are focused on the monitoring the initial safety and tolerability of drug. Adverse events are recorded and pharmacokinetics. It means how the drug is absorbed, distributed, metabolized and excreted. These studies are seen in phase 1. Then phase 2. In phase 2 involves the drug being tested in patient who has targeted disease or condition. Pharmacovigilance during this phase continues to monitor for adverse drug reaction and is essential for identifying any potential dose-related toxicity or unexpected adverse event. The data helps in refining the drug therapeutic index and provide critical information to guide the selection of doses for subsequent phases. Then phase 3. In phase 3, the drug is tested on the large population, sometimes involving hundreds to thousands of population of participants. Pharmacovigilance becomes crucial here as rare or long-term adverse effects might become apparent. The role of pharmacovigilance is to ensure that all adverse events and adverse drug reaction are documented, assessment for casualty and reported to the regulatory authorities are required. Then phase 4, it is also called as post-marketing surveillance. In this phase, after a drug has been approved, pharmacovigilance continues in the post-marketing surveillance to monitor the safety profile of the drug in the general population. Phase 4 studies focus on the detecting of long-term effect, drug interaction and rare adverse effects that may not have been evident in earlier trial due to smaller sample size or shorter study duration. What are the key activities in the pharmacovigilance during clinical trials? First one is the adverse event reporting. In this essential aspect of the pharmacovigilance in the clinical trial is the systemic collection, documentation and reporting of adverse event experienced by participant. Adverse event include any unwanted medical occurrence, whether or not they are not related to the investigational drug. Serious adverse events are particularly important and must be reported immediately to the regulatory authority and ethics committees. Then second is the casualty assessment. Once the adverse events are reported, Their relationship to the investigational product must be evaluated. Pharmacovigilance team assess whether the adverse event is likely to be caused by the drug or if it could be due to other factors such as underlying medical conditions or the concomitant medications. Casualties typically categorized using systems such as which range from certain to unlikely or unrelated. Then third one is the risk management. Pharmacovigilance include the development and implementation of risk management plan, which outline strategies for minimizing known risks and preventing new risks during clinical trial. These include identifying risk factor, specifying safety monitoring requirement, and implementing appropriate mitigations such as dose adjustment and or additional monitoring. Then fourth one is the data collection and analysis. Pharmacovigilance relies on the robust data collection system to monitor the safety profile of the investigational drug. This involves gathering safety information from clinical trial sites, including adverse event report, laboratory test result, and other clinical observations. Statistical analysis are then conducted to identify a pattern and trends in adverse event, helping to determine whether a signal of harm exists. Then fifth one is the signal detection and evaluation. In clinical trial, the signal detection refer to the process of identifying potential new risk associated with the drug. Pharmacovigilance team use various methods such as disproportionality analysis and Bayesian statistic to assess the safety, to assess whether the certain adverse events are more frequent in the treatment of group than in general population or placebo group. If the signal is identified, it triggers for the further investigation, which may include additional study, safety, warning, or dose adjustment. Sixth one is the regulatory reporting and compliances. One of the most important aspects of the pharmacovigilance in clinical trials is adhering to regulatory requirement. Clinical trial sponsors are required to report adverse event, serious adverse event, and any signal of potential safety issue to regulatory authorities like US FDA, European Medicine Agencies, or any other prevalent bodies. This is done through the periodic safety update report and development safety update report and other regulatory submissions. The seventh one is a safety monitoring and safety committee and data monitoring board. Independent data monitoring committee or safety monitoring committee are often established to oversee the safety of clinical trials. This committee reviews all safety data, assess whether there is a need for modification to the trial protocol, and advise whether the trial should continue or not. They play a crucial role in ensuring that the participants' the safety is not compromised during the study. The challenges in pharmacovigilance during the clinical trials. While pharmacovigilance plays a crucial role in ensuring the drug safety, but there are several challenges such as underreporting of adverse event. In clinical trials, some adverse event may go underreported due to various reasons such as lack of awareness or misattribution to other factors. This can affect the comprehensiveness of the safety data. Then data complexity. The vast amount of data generated in clinical trials can make it difficult to identify and assess all safety signals promptly. The diversity of trial population, varying doses, and combination with other treatments can complicate data analysis. Then regulatory variations. Different regulatory bodies have the different regulatory requirement for safety reporting, which can make it too difficult for international trial to remain compliant across all regions. Then false signal. Statistical method can sometimes generate false positive signal requiring further investigation to determine the true risk. Then regulatory frameworks of the pharmacovigilance. Regulatory framework governing pharmacovigilance during clinical trial is critical to ensuring safety and compliance. Some key regulations include such as ICH-GCP, it means the International Conference on the Harmonization for the Pharmaceutical for the Human Use, Good Clinical Practice. International guideline that outlines How clinical trials should be conducted to ensure participant safety and data integrity. Then second is the FDA and EMA regulation. FDA means US Food and Drug Administration, and EMA European Medicine Agencies. Both have specific guidelines for safety reporting during clinical trials. Then ICH E2E Pharmacovigilance Guideline. This provides detailed recommendation on how to manage and report adverse drug reaction throughout the clinical development process. And what are the objectives of the pharmacovigilance in clinical trials? The primary objective of the pharmacovigilance in clinical trials such as safety monitoring, risk management, signal detection, and compliance. By identifying and managing the potential risk in the drug development process, pharmacovigilance helps to mitigate the harm, patient support regulatory compliance, and ensure that new treatments are safe, effective for use. The integration of proposed pharmacovigilance activities is not only essential for the ethical clinical trial conducted but also for delivering the safe and effective treatment to the public. So that's all about the clinical trials in the pharmacovigilance. Thank you.